Good afternoon, everybody. Bandwidth and Banter is back again. Thank you all for joining us today. It's a very that dramatic pause at the front was both accidental and on purpose because, wow, oh my God! If you are a gamer at all and have not been living under a rock, you will have known the drama that's been going on right now. But I'm getting ahead of myself because our intro is the following. This is Bandwidth and Banter, and your hosts today are Druid IRL across the way, and myself, Stormy D. Welcome to Stormkeep, where we discuss all kinds of things related to streaming and gaming and YouTube, and generally lots of amazing fun things. And the big topic today. The big topic today, guys, is the following. Like I said, if you're a gamer at all, especially if you're into, strategy games, tabletop games, role-playing games, you'll know the drama that's going on from Wizards of the Coast and the OpenGL 1.1 nonsense. I've been so flabbergasted how much this has escalated. And so I'm gonna state this right off the bat with you guys. I know this is kind of overly dramatic for a fancy YouTube title, but here it is. I think that we need to kill D&D in order to save it.
I agree.
And we're going to talk about that today. Ironically, I'm obviously not the only one who thinks that. I'm the one who's stating it in that manner. But basically, all the other the big name third party companies are kind of doing the same thing. Or they view things the same way. Let me, I got some notes here. So, I'm gonna rephrase that. We must kill D&D in order to save it. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes or a resurrection spell on a beloved D&D character, Dungeons Dragons must die and be reborn to evolve / ascend to its next incarnation. And this is what I mean by that. So, real quick, I'm going to have the Druid IRL kind of recap from her perspective what the drama is all about this week, and I'll fill in any gaps if there are any.
So for me, it's like it feels like as a casual observer who is new to the D&D world,
right?
And it feels very cruel to the people that have made D&D such a big deal.
Right. First, tell us what's happened. Some folks may not know, so let's recap it for them real quick.
Okay, so basically, Wizards of the Coast, back in the day, I think this was during 3.5, they made the open gaming license, where they were like, you could create any content that is compatible with this, and you can sell it and make a profit, and we're not going to charge you royalties or anything like that. And layman's terms. And then
that's, by the way, sorry to interrupt. That is called the Open Gaming License 1.0A, just for you guys to know.
1.0A.
Yeah.
And so now the big controversy is about the OGL 1.1, where they're going to start charging royalties, and that they're going to say that they own everybody's content that posts under this license. It's going to really, really affect a lot of people whose livelihood is this third-party content that has built D&D from, a niche thing to a
mainstream,
really popular niche thing.
Right. I would consider D&D nowadays to be pretty mainstream. I think a lot of people nowadays, but on the same token, it's true that Wizards is doing this because they know with a lot of the things that they have planned in the pipeline, it's going to be even bigger and more mainstream. With the movie that's coming out and some other video games and other things that they have planned, they expect the growth of D&D to continue to grow, and so just to be clear, just to fill in a little bit of the gaps about what you were discussing about the OpenGL. Yeah, so the OpenGL was created back in the day, effectively.
2000?
I don't remember the date, but it was effectively around open. It was worked on back during 3.0, 3.5, and but the funny and interesting thing is that a lot of the this is kind of jumping ahead on one of my topics, but a lot of the current founders and executives at Paizo, which by the way, Paizo is the publisher for D&D's biggest competitor, Pathfinder, which isn't really technically a competitor because they still publish under the OpenGL that in either 3.5, in their format, in their content. So
yeah.
But basically, some of their executives and founders were working at Wizards of the Coast when the OpenGL was created.
Yep.
And sadly, of course, they've left to go do their own thing over time, and they left to do their own thing because of 4th edition. Because technically, Wizards sort of pseudo tried this a little bit with 4th edition, and also 4th edition was such a train wreck dumpster fire of a product that it drove a lot of people away. Now, since those mistakes and things, D&D came out. They corrected the ship, so to speak. They created 5th edition and they moved forward, and so that's what's been going on from the past until now. Well, what happened recently, just a few weeks ago, at the end of last year, was that Wizards they had developed this new OpenGL 1.1 document that they had shared with some third-party folks and internally to get feedback. They were planning on launching this OpenGL 1.1. It was their plan. It was obvious from the wording, from the emails, but it was leaked. Either an unhappy employee within Wizards, or maybe one of the third-party companies that got to see it. Who knows? Critical Role might have seen. One of those big guys might have, been privy to this information. Somebody leaked this OpenGL 1.1 because they knew how terrible it was right off the bat. Yeah. So, and to be clear, what's terrible about it is a couple of main things. One, under the wording of the leaked OpenGL 1.1, any D&D content would effectively be any D&D content that you create and put out into public, whether it's streaming, YouTube, when you publish, modules, monster books, treasure books, any kind of content like that, third party or whatnot, would be something that if based upon the wording of the OpenGL 1.1, Wizards would be able to claim that as their own and use it as they want. Okay, so that's part one. There are 3 bad things about the OpenGL 1.1. All right. Now, let me say them out. Hold your question for a second. The second one was that they wanted to charge massive royalty fees, 25% for any third-party company making $750,000 or more off of D&D content, and 20% for another tier. I forget the specifics of that. And that was a big deal because that would have hit Critical Role, that would have hit Paizo, that would have hit Cabal Press, that would have hit the big companies, which really aren't that big, relatively speaking. They're big fans, right? That have had great success because of the D&D OpenGL. And then the third thing that the OpenGL 1.1 wanted to stop as well was they wanted to basically revoke OpenGL 1.0a completely, so that basically they could at any time change the provisions at any time, and that like later on down the road they could lower the threshold amount on people, or hey, you're making this much on you got to start paying us fees. I believe there was even like a small 5% for some small, I don't know. There's a lot of nonsense in OpenGL 1.1 that basically was the most draconian, like if Sauron and Count Strahd had a baby, that is exactly what the executives of Wizards, they took advice from this evil being.
Yeah,
because
100%.
it was the most vile, like you said, cruel way that they could basically thumb their nose at the community. First of all, the OpenGL 1.0a literally in the wording intended to be unrevocable and perpetual.
Yeah.
But because of some soft language from way back in the day, because the people who put it together back then didn't really think anyone would be stupid or evil enough to actually, go this draconian.
Yeah.
They didn't. It was a little bit too soft on the language, so there was still some wiggle room, some legal wiggle room. Now I'm not a legal expert, but let's just say that I do understand a few things about the law. I actually have a family member who's a retired attorney. I worked for a while as a paralegal, a short while, like 6 months, I have watched quite a few interesting YouTube videos from legal experts who've discussed this topic, and I want to clarify that like I said, I'm no legal expert, but the bottom line is OpenGL 1.1 was meant to completely blow up, like give Wizards complete draconian control over everything, and they specifically, there was even comments from their CEO about, right now our Dungeons and Dragons IP is under monetized. She literally said that. And so it was obvious that this was the intent for the whole thing, was so that they could basically extra monetize D&D beyond what they already make. And
D&D Beyond.
Har. Yeah, that's you got me there. But seriously, all right. So that's the recap of the drama that's been going on.
Yes.
Well, it's blown up. Like so many different YouTubers, all the D&D YouTubers, all the D&D streamers, us included, have basically jumped into this fray to say their peace of mind, and they've pretty much all been right. And on top of that, not just them, but like dozens of third-party developers who would be hit by this dramatically. Some of these companies, so just to be clear, they were wanting 25% royalties on the revenue, not the profit. Yeah. Some of these third-party companies don't even make 12%. Yeah. So there's no way they could hit the 25% mark. They don't have enough margin. So ultimately,
that's literally like, you are ruining somebody's career. Because it's one of those things, like, third party cannot operate without somebody having to go buy the player's handbook.
Right.
Or the Dungeon Master's handbook.
Right.
And then they go to the website and then they see D&D Beyond. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, I want to create characters and stuff. I'm going to subscribe so I can have all of these extra character slots. That's what I did. I'm not even a big, like, I am so new to this. Like, I'm just really getting into D&D and all. Like, this is my first real campaign is with you. And it's like, oh, like, what?
Yeah, it's a big deal.
I had a couple of things that I wanted to say.
Yeah, please share your thoughts and feelings as a lay person, as a new
person
lover
to this,
of D&D.
Right?
Yeah.
I will say, I am in no way, shape, or form an attorney. I don't know anything. I do understand though, when it comes to legal language, they have to be very, very specific. Because you can like pick and choose and play around with the language of
May I say something to that point?
Yes.
You're absolutely right. To be clear, and this is something I was going to say later on, but just to clarify things, you can't copyright a gaming mechanic. Okay, legally speaking, you can only copyright the creative way that mechanic is presented. So basically, it boils down to the D20 mechanic system, because it's just based on an underlying foundation of a type of mechanic. Just like you can't copyright a chemical compound, you know, or a mathematical formula. You can't copyright mechanics of a game. So, but how it's presented, the language that's used, which is what you segued into, the language that's used, it can be copyrighted. So, you know, what they name their deities, what they name their monsters, their items, their, you know, what they name their spell, like how everything is kind of created. Now, not all of it, but a lot of it.
That's intellectual property.
Right.
Which is protected.
Right.
Second thing I wanted to say was us streaming is actually not affected by this OGL. And that's because it's protected under like the fan content. As long as we're producing the content where it's free to view, we are protected to continue to play and stream because it's also under fair use. So we as streamers playing the game are not going to be affected by
Where did you get
the
that
OGL.
info? Was it something you found on one of the YouTube videos? Or something online?
It was something under one of the YouTube videos. It was under the Dungeon Dudes were the ones that were talking about that. I can also pull it up and look it up as well because it is apparently actually on the Wizards of the Coast website. But I will say I'm pretty sure that is correct.
I got to be honest with you.
But I'm not 100% sure.
I got to be honest with you that so no, you are not wrong in that. I can see why some folks would think that, but
yes,
the problem is the way they had written the OpenGL 1.1, the language used in it was basically that if you sign off, and so what it means is the way it works is whenever you buy a new D&D product, especially the online component of D&D Beyond, right? Then you actually have to, you're signing a license, okay, effectively. If you sign on the dotted line of OpenGL 1.1, it basically, you are saying, oh, well, I'm signing this contract, which this contract then says in its legalese, in its language, that it's okay for us to basically backtrack and do things that you normally couldn't do. Because you've signed on it saying, oh, it's okay, I'm okay with this, and so you can do those things. So what those guys said is not 100% accurate. So the point of it is
perfect.
So let me clarify
Correct
though.
me.
So there's a difference between, on a technical standpoint, they are correct, right? But there's a difference between being technically correct and being able to afford to defend yourself. It doesn't matter what the law is nowadays. What matters is who can afford to go to the court to begin with. So us little streamers, if for some reason Wizards of the Coast said, oh, well, these guys, they're using some of our content without our permission, and you know, you guys you need to cease and desist. They send us a cease and desist letter. They send us you know, saying, oh, okay, you know, you're streaming with this D&D content and you haven't, you know, gotten our permission to use that content. So you either cease and desist or you start paying us these royalty fees or whatnot. It doesn't matter whether we could potentially win in court. What matters is whether you can afford to go to court. I know that's terrible, but it's just the reality that we live in.
Okay.
And so, and sometimes even if you can afford to go to court, if the other guys can hire better lawyers, they can still win. You know, it's just, it really is a mess. It really is. It's kind of like you said. It's cruel.
Yeah.
And also, lastly, I will say that it's still kind of a gray area. They made it sound black and white, but it's not technically.
Okay.
So there's a bit more to it.
No, I appreciate that, and I love to learn and all of that stuff. And my last little bit. So I started this new class, and it's right now we're talking about ethics and ethics in business. And the example that they used as a stellar example of business ethics was Hasbro. And I'm like, oh, guys,
What?
guess what?
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude. So
You've
I have
got to
like
be kidding me.
I'm using this like interactive textbook and I'm like, oh, y'all have no clue. This is not true.
Wow. Wow.
So I'm like in this middle of this discussion for school about how like they're like using Hasbro as an example of quality. And I'm like, oh, nope.
Not anymore anyway. The irony is this is not the first time in a few month period of time that Hasbro / Wizards of the Coast has effed their community. A lot of people don't know. We've kind of talked about it on stream a few times, but Wizards of the Coast, when they recently came out with their 30th anniversary special edition, reprint of Alpha, it was a major fiasco. It blew up in their face because it was evil. Like the product that they were selling was basically, they had always promised in the past they would never reprint Alpha and Beta, okay? And then they decided, oh, well, we're gonna do that, but we're gonna call it proxies. So you literally cannot use them in any tournament, and you can't even use them in your kitchen table with your buddies if they don't want you to. But technically, since they're proxies, your buddies wouldn't care, right? But the bottom line is this is what made it terrible. First of all, you're buying 4 packs of Magic the Gathering Alpha cards, and they were literally just like Alpha packs, except for slightly newer artwork, right?
Yeah.
And the other part was that they were still randomized, just like packs were, so it could have a Black Lotus, or it could have a Savannah Lion, something that's not worth squat, right?
Yeah.
But the worst part is, not only is it proxies, so is it actually going to be worth anything since it's a reprint that's a proxy reprint? And the worst part was, it cost $1,000, $999 for 4 packs that were random. So you could end up getting crap in these packs that you spent a fortune on.
Yep.
And so, the Magic community was up in arms over this.
Yeah.
And they completely boycotted that product. And so now they turn right around and do this with, oh my God. It's like, what are you guys doing?
It's insane. And it's one of the, and what sucks too is like, I'm in this position, like I've been a subscriber to D&D Beyond.
Yep.
I use D&D Beyond for my character sheet.
Right.
For our stream. And it's like, it makes me feel really icky.
Well, that's something that during our conversation today I was gonna get to. So I'm glad that you brought that up. That's something that we should discuss. But let's cover these other topics a little bit first, if you don't mind. I got some other stuff. I don't mind. Okay.
Hold on, there's a highlighted message. Somebody used points.
Uh-oh.
Fun note about some of the new art for the 30th anniversary is they cropped artists' names to reduce royalties. Also, check other comment about IP issues. Also, the streaming thing is iffy, but if IP law for fan-made stuff can't generate revenue off of, even though you're not charging to view, since David is receiving money for using D&D licensed products, he doesn't fall under fair use. What did Wizards of the Coast do this time? You don't know, Electric Bob? My good golly.
Yep. So basically, we'll be talking about it today. I'm going to go over a little bit more, and then if anything that you missed, if you came in a little bit late, feel free to. By the way, welcome it one and all. Electric Bob, Low Life Raccoon, Thrallstar, Dagoth, Kill BG, Banana Tom, Rovendia. Good to see you guys. Appreciate you guys. So I'm going to jump back to it since this is also going to be going up on YouTube. But so basically. Let me go over this second part of this topic here. So I was discussing that I think we need to kill D&D to save it. What I mean by that is Wizards of the Coast, their executives, are so... I don't think their executive leadership and the board of directors of this company really understand their product at all. They do not understand their product at all. And I don't think they are the best stewards anymore of their products. Now to be fair, I want to separately single out all of the game developers that work at Wizards on these products. Okay, those folks are amazing. Thank you all for creating these beautiful things for us.
Yes.
Right? But they are not the ones running the show who want to do this shady, draconian, evil crap. Okay?
Yeah.
These are we gotta differentiate that we're talking about the CEO and other executive leadership literally wanting to suck more money out of our wallets.
Yeah. There's the two different sides.
Right. The creative folks.
There are the nerds that we must love and support.
Right.
And then there's the corporate evil.
Yeah. And I just find it's sad too. So at any rate, I just wanted to be clear, to differentiate that. And what I mean by killing D&D to save it, it turns out that there are a number. So D&D's primary competitor we were discussing earlier is Paizo, which puts out Pathfinder. And Pathfinder was a direct answer to 4th edition, even though technically it was kind of in development before that, but it was really, people were unhappy with things. And so, I mean, I'm kind of over, I may be getting some of my timeline and history messed up a little bit. Yeah. So forgive me if that's the case. But the reality is that Pathfinder is a very popular alternative to Dungeons and Dragons, using still the D20 system, right?
Yes.
And Cabal Press is another publisher that puts out stuff. They basically are the other big name in the industry. There's a bunch of them though that have all kind of decided, you know what, this is BS. We're not going to deal with this. So Cabal Press has said they're going to come out with their own game system. But then just yesterday, Paizo announced that they are going to create their own, what they call the Open RPG Creative License, and which is the nickname for it is ORC, which is clever and cute. Of course.
I love it so much.
Yes.
And that alone makes me just want to commit.
Right, I know. Right, me too. And so they have decided that they are going. They have shown that their intent is to create this license in perpetuity and to be completely unrevocable. Yep. And so I'm gonna quickly read my little note about this. The most notable competitors and publishers of D&D related products have all announced plans to either create a new D20 based RPG system or are rallying behind those who do. The biggest names are Cabal Press and Paizo, the developers of Pathfinder, which was its own response to the dumpster fire that was D&D 4th edition. Both of these fantasy RPG tech giants are not only developing their own gaming systems to replace D&D, but Paizo is even planning to create its own completely open RPG system they call ORC, which stands for the Open RPG Creative License. It's intended to be the framework for a complete base system that will be perpetually and irrevocably open gaming mechanic. And so that is a beautiful thing. And that's what I mean by we need to kill D&D in order to save it. So the way we do that is we got to just dump Wizards of the Coast completely. Yeah. I do want to be clear. I'm jumping ahead a little bit here because I created these notes based upon information that I had this morning. But since then, Wizards has come out with a statement. It finally came out with a statement, and it was
finally.
It had some cute, oh please forgive us kind of language in it, but it also had some absolute trash bullshit lies, absolute lies in it. Yep. And so
I think I would probably watch the same breakdown video.
Yeah, I mean it was so shady that it just makes me cringe even more. And so my idea of killing D&D to save it is if we can basically abandon it enough that it becomes a worthless product to Wizards. My dream is that's you know, some non-evil Elon Musk person or company comes along and swoops in and buys it out from Hasbro and does something right with it. That's not going to happen, realistically speaking. But I think realistically, at the very least, we will force them into a position where they have to backpedal completely off of this and maybe get some folks to fall on their sword. They're going to have to dump some people who made these choices because that's the only way they're going to get the even that's just a start for getting the community back together, because if they don't do those kinds of things, then like their credibility is just destroyed right now.
Yeah. I am like at this point like being so fresh into tabletop role playing, being so fresh into this whole thing. For me, like, and also like I'm a really big fan of people that are really big fans of things.
Right.
Enough that they want to like dedicate their lives to like build something to like love and support their own like passion and stuff. Like it really, I don't think there's any way that they could earn my trust back at this point.
I think it's possible, but I think, like I said, we have to kill it in so that it can come back as something better with better people, protecting it, I think. And to that end, you were talking, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, but it's one of those things like, most people are brand loyalists. And if the brand just destroys you, I mean, for me, it's like one of those things. Like I'm fully ready. If you're down, like I'm fully ready to commit to Pathfinder.
Well, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
And I do want to point out, talking about people who are passionate doing something. This might date me a little bit. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Maybe you guys have heard me say this before. I don't know. I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons since I was 12 years old. Right back. The original basic expert sets in '81, and it has been my first hobby, my first love, and I always believed that no matter what happened, that I would always, stick with this hobby, and it's true that I am. The thing is, D&D, what I mean, this again explains even further what I mean by killing it to save it, is that D&D isn't about the company that owns it.
Yeah.
It's not about the company that's publishing under the name Dungeons and Dragons. It's the first fantasy TTRPG that really spoke, that awakened the imagination in me and so many others, and has continued to do so over the last few decades. And I think, no matter what, I'm always going to come back to my first love, right? But I do feel like that doesn't mean, I feel like the essence of what D&D is could be under a different, leadership and a different name,
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter to me what name it is. It's still Dungeons and Dragons at its heart. Even if the IP Dungeons and Dragons is owned by some draconian overlords. I don't care about them or the name, And speaking to that, I think here's where we go with kind of my speculation for the future. First, I think the backlash will be big enough that Wizards will need to backtrack, which they already have, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. Even though their backtrack was like, you could tell somebody spent some time writing it. They probably were up all night writing it, but I still feel like they didn't go far enough. And there's going to need there's going to need to be some scapegoats that fall on their sword for this, and that still may not be enough to turn things around. They have destroyed so much faith and credibility. It'll be quite some time before they can regain the public trust, and I think that's the good thing. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that we need to, and I love that Paizo wants to create this community-based true open GL called a orc, right? I think that is the heart of Dungeons and Dragons, right? And we're doing it together, and so that's how we, eventually in the future we'll see D&D resurrected in a different way. And let's see, the second thing I wanted to point out going forward in the future. I don't think that small streamers like us will be targeted in any time frame where we can't finish our current campaign, for example.
I agree.
If this goes all the way to litigation, then it'll actually take a lot of time.
Yes.
So I don't think it's really going to affect us at all during this campaign. We'll just continue it out. Although I did want to kind of discuss with you and Fate about potentially, if you guys would be willing to dump your D&D Beyond accounts, I can,
100%.
Good. I can send you guys some character sheets that you can use, and you don't even have to. If you would prefer to use digital, you don't have to print them out. There's some digital ones I found that can work.
Yeah.
And the other thing, let's see, the other point I was going to make. So, despite my belief that in the long run, Wizards will have to come back off of this, in case I'm wrong, for our next campaign in the future, I'm going to create my own customized RPG for us to play based around the same mechanics. So we're going to have to work on that together some, if that's okay with you guys. But basically, it's just going to be a matter of renaming things. And to be honest, I was already thinking about changing some interesting mechanics up with character creation. One example that I can give would be that, you know how nowadays when you create a character, if you're doing a kind of a traditional low power Dungeons and Dragons campaign, then you just roll 3d6 and then throw it all together, and you just have kind of these potentially, some of the ability scores are going to be good and some of the ability scores are going to be terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then also, we obviously used the high power campaign where I had you guys roll, pretty aggressively to get high scores. I wanted you to feel heroic for your first time out.
Yeah.
Well, I've always thought, instead of making people roll to get random ability scores and potentially get godlike abilities or get super mediocre abilities, I have come up with my own kind of point system that I think will work better for the level progression. And what?
Are you telling me that you want to create your own D20 system?
Yeah.
On the based on the orc open gaming license kind of thing?
Well, I don't know if it necessarily needs orc at all, right? Because again, you can't copyright game mechanics.
Yeah.
So I don't see why we can't come up with our own system that uses some of those D20 mechanics, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I told you guys this was going to be a special episode. I am confident that I can create a gaming system. Make Stormy do the thing. What?
I fully support. I'm going to start rallying the troops. We're making it happen.
Good.
I want a Stormy made game so bad.
Wow, I'm honored. You warm my heart. By the way, speaking of heart, check this out. It looks kind of like a Batman shirt, but it's not. Can you see what it is? It's ironic that I'm wearing this today. See what it is? It's a D&D shirt that Star Kitty got me. And I purposely wore it this day as an homage to the heart on my chest, right? The heart of D&D, which has nothing to do with Wizards of the Coast. You guys remember that? Just because they own the IP right now, just because it's being run by greedy corporate vampires does not mean that it always will. So it's up to us to do other things. So anyway, real quick, this is just a teaser of this RPG mechanic. So for the ability scores, I was thinking that what you do is you start out, all your abilities are base 10 at first level, okay? And you have, at each level, including first level, you have 3 points that you can spend. And you can put them wherever you want on your ability scores. Okay? So you're gonna start out super weak, but it makes sense because you're a first level character, right? Also, your race will give you a 2-point bonus depending on the race. Like it might give you a 2-point bonus, or it might give you something else, right? And so more than, like, for example, if you're going to do, let's say, I don't want to use orc or half orc. I don't know. I guess technically orcs are not D&D. They're not D&D because they originally came from Tolkien. So let's say you're going to be a half orc. Obviously, you know, you have 2 points to spend. We'll say that you can only put them into certain ability scores. I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that part yet. Maybe I'll do it that way. Maybe not. But the idea is that so from level 1 all the way up to level 20, you're getting slowly stronger. You're weak for quite a while. It's going to be a lot more granular, right? But if you think about it, if you're getting 3 per level that you spend every single level, then by the time you're level 11, you're going to actually be really strong because a lot of your abilities will be very powerful. And by the time you actually get, because that's 33 points that you'll get to add to the base 10 of all of them, right? And I think at first level, I'll probably have some rule that lets you pull 1 point from 2 different ability scores, or 2 points from 1 ability score. So if you want to be really ugly, or you want to be really dumb, or you want to be really weak, you know, something like that. You know, these are just some ideas that I've had. And so I just feel like it would be neat because then you really feel that progression of getting stronger, getting more powerful, right? And of course, all of the ability scores I would come up with completely different names for. Like instead of strength, it would be power, right? Instead of dexterity, it might be agility, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And then, so that's just my little initial thoughts on the matter. The main thing we'd have to be careful of is what figurines we use, I think. Although there might be some legal wiggle room with those. Maybe, I don't know, it just depends. Because technically speaking, they're just a toy. You don't sign a license when you buy a toy, and you can use the toy however you want. But again, it boils down to one of those things where, oh, well, you could beat that in court. Yeah, only if you have the money to pay to go to court. So it does not matter if you're legally in the right. Remember that, guys. What matters is who can afford the best lawyer. And so it's terrible it is the case, but it is the reality. And so back to what I was saying, I have some really neat ideas for our own customized RPG for us to play. And so that's what we're going to do if you guys are cool with it. We'll at the beginning, you know, I'll create this base system, and it shouldn't take me too long to get the initial base system for us. And I'm going to create custom classes. Like it's going to be fun.
We will help you think tank.
I know.
I'll help you think tank.
I know. You and Fade and Star Kitty. Oh, my God.
I'm going to tell you right now. You're the person that you're going to probably love to hear the most out of is actually going to be Fate. Something nobody gets to see about Fate is his level of creativity always amazes me. And it's one of those things where this is the opportunity to really showcase some of those really fun, and like I would love to see your guys' like dynamic and like thinking through some of these processes and all of that.
Oh yeah.
And I'm so ready. I am so ready. I'm so ready. I am like, you don't even know. I'm already coming up with plans. To make this happen.
Awesome.
I am ready.
Ditto. I concur with you in the conversations that I've had with him, and just the way that he is constantly talking about the depths of his character and everything. I have seen the spark of what you're talking about. I know it's trust me, it has not escaped me. I see it's one of the things that you, and I see the way you look at him when he talks like that. It's one of the things that you love about him, and I think it's wonderful. It's one of the things I love about him too.
So when we first started dating, and we would go for a walk, and we would do the same walk same path every time. We'd walk down around the marina, up and down First Street, down around the marina for hours, discussing character concepts, character ideas, story backlore, like all of these crazy things for hours.
Man, that's some great exercise. Do you guys still do that some?
So it rains a lot here
Oh.
now. So it's not yet, but we have to find our inspiration walking place and get some really good raincoats.
Yeah.
But no, I feel like it's gonna be. I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah,
Don't
me
even
too.
know.
This is gonna be phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I have to take a quick potty break though.
Oh yeah, no problem, no problem.
I'll be right back.
So while she's taking a potty break, does anybody else have any? Oh, thank you, Banana Tom, for the bits and the great comments. I gotta get some of these. Let's see here. Up here. Yeah, exactly. WOTC isn't really in charge. Well, it's not just Hasbro Thrall Star. It's Hasbro and some executives in Wizards. But you're right. It is primarily the leadership of Hasbro that's causing this. I agree. Rovendir said best thing though was Paizo's response to the new OGL backlash, biggest slap in WOTC I've ever seen. Yeah, I agree, Rovendir. Fun note about some of the new art for, oh yeah, it was from earlier. By the way, we will chat the next topic when she comes back. We're going to talk about their response. They did basically backpedal some, mostly. Most of it has been a backpedal, but a lot of it was just more of a slap on the face because it was an obvious lie. But, and yeah, you're right. Bad guys in suits, go figure. Not all people in suits are bad guys, to be clear, guys. I know you're kind of right though, Dagoff. You shouldn't have that kind of, thing, where we assume that people in suits are going to be bad guys. It's not always the case. Kill's like, you've been playing for 9 total years. Yeah, 9. That's it. That's how many I've been playing, Kill. You got it.
Totally, no. Only 9.
No.
I saw that earlier and I giggled.
That's cute, buddy. Let's see. Game Poggers, awesome. I feel like 3 points should be rewarded at the first level as well to separate play. Yeah, I did say that as scene. First level. Yeah, exactly. That's why you would go into an adventuring profession. At first level, you get 3 points to spend when you create your first character. Because you are basically going from a commoner to a professional adventurer. And so you're going to be slightly stronger and faster, or slightly smarter, or wherever you put those points into. Right? And like I said, I think your race should give you some points to spend. Maybe we'll even make it somewhat kind of open, where the race, you have 1 point that is race specific. Like you get 2 points. Well, maybe that's a bit too much. I don't know. I have to think about this. But you get like 2 points. One. If you're a half orc, you can have 1 point that you're spending on. You have to spend on strength or con, right? And then 1 point you can put wherever you want. It could be in strength or con, or it could be somewhere else. That's just one idea. I'll have to think about it more. But Banana Tom says, legally they would have to issue a cease and desist before they could do anything to a small streamer. And another way around it would be a non-profit YouTube Twitch account where you don't accept partnership affiliate status, and to combat the earning side, set up a Patreon with sneaky stuff. Yeah, but that's a lot of effort and work to, ooh, look at that, yeah. I don't own any Pathfinder stuff. I've never tried it. To be honest with you, I'm gonna be straight with you guys. I was never interested in Pathfinder because I've always played D&D and I've always loved D&D. And despite the fact that I didn't like 4th edition, and I didn't, I gotta be straight. Some of the artwork and flavor of Pathfinder just kind of isn't, it's just kind of like, it's okay, but I don't care about that. I don't care about their particular artwork and flavor anymore. What I like about them is that they understand the heart of Dungeons and Dragons, and they're going to create this this open license, and I think that's cool. So
their bestiaries are fun.
Yeah, I got off on a tangent there.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's all right. It's all right. I was going to say, Banana Tom, you're right. There are ways you can get around it, but then Banana Tom, remember what I was saying. It doesn't really matter legally what's going on. What matters is if they if they come at you, all they got to do is send you a cease and desist letter through an email, which is super easy for a legal department to do. And then a little streamer like me can't fight it. It's not about whether we would win or not. It's about whether we can afford to go to court. Kill says, Stormy following AAA companies selling us alpha builds with the promise of complete games and DLCs. That would be cool, but I don't know. I hadn't even thought about that. I was honestly just thinking about creating this custom game for us to play on stream.
But if people like it, then we can do the Kickstarter and make it a thing. Just saying. Thinking in the future.
I agree. And Dagoth, yes, absolutely. We would want you in on this with some ideas and stuff. The big message, I remembered something else halfway through. I'll message you both points properly. Oh, no worries. More like 9x9 or more. Been watching some vids already for Pathfinder rules and such. Wow. Yeah. Really interested what Critical Role's take will be around this drama. Yeah, I agree. So Critical Role, the irony, the interesting and irony of this is Critical Role is the reason why Wizards decided to go this route, right? Think about it. Critical Role, Critical Role has blown up Dungeons and Dragons popularity to such a massive degree that it made Wizards a bundle of money. However, the folks at Critical Role are making a bundle of money themselves. And the Wizards execs are like, oh, we need to monetize some of that. We want that. Let me put my hand in your pocket. And so the irony is that the Critical Role helped create this monster too on accident, right? Because they've been so monstrously successful.
Yeah.
They got the attention of the executives and said, oh, wow, if this can blow up this big where it's not just a hobby, it's something professional, then we better try and monetize that. And so, yet on the same token, they've helped elevate D&D to make record profits for Hasbro and Wizards. So it's really, it's just, I am with you. I can't wait to see what they have to say about it all.
Yeah. Because every time I pull up D&D Beyond, I just hear Sam Riegel's voice singing the D&D Beyond song that they play all the time.
There's a D&D Beyond song?
That Sam yes. You're going to have to look it up. It's funny. But that's the whole thing. Like, come on. And, I understand, Critical Role makes a lot of money and stuff. Mm-hmm. And has brought so much popularity and everything.
This is a case of... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I lost... My train of thought was just, more angry.
I know.
Not angry, disappointed.
Yeah, super disappointed. This is the Hasbro execs biting the hand that feeds them. They did this with Magic 30th anniversary, and then they turned right around and did even worse with this OpenGL 1.1. Thank goodness for whoever leaked it. My goodness, can you imagine?
No kidding, love you.
Oh, if they had tried to launch this, my God.
It would have been bad. Quick question, and this is a fleeting thought that I heard once, and it can be wrong. But isn't Wizards of the Coast the most profitable under the Hasbro?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast is honestly the only profitable entity, I think, under Hasbro. If you think about Hasbro is a gaming company, right? And I shouldn't say the only profitable. Hasbro sells a lot of board games, right? But they also
do action figures through Marvel and stuff too, right?
They do. Okay. Yeah, they do that kind of stuff too. And probably toy car, lots of different toy products. Despite all that, Magic and D&D are their most profitable products, right? For obvious reasons, because it's literally a license to print money. When you're printing a Magic card, you're literally just printing, oh, hey, this is worth $50. Here you go. Think about it. The packs That's why that's like all the new fancy releases they've been having from Magic cards is brilliant on their part. They can sell these little bundles, these tiny little bundles for $40, right? And just make money hand over fist for printing these. They're reprints with specialized art of old cards, but they make it something that's appealing. Maybe they use like what have they done? They've done Warhammer, they've done D&D crossovers, they've done all these different crossovers, they've done like these cute little anime ones, these chibi ones, like all these things that they know that people want to collect. And those people want to collect it because they know when they get that card, it's going to be worth more than they paid for it, right? And so Wizards can sell these products, these secret lairs, for $40 for just a few cards, and they're just making money for basically printing on cardboard, right?
Yep.
And like, obviously they make money off of packs too from people who play, but it's collectors that is where they really make all their gold. And it's like the goose that laid the golden egg. Like it's just pure, like it's super profitable, right?
Yeah.
But,
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you plan on continuing to play stuff like Magic the Gathering, or are you also going to be kind of taking a step back away from that as well?
That is a very good question. It's a tough one that I've been wrestling with the last couple of days. So, in fact, tonight on my stream tonight, I'm going to be playing modern Magic. The thing is I don't know. It's something that Star Kitty and I are going to have a conversation about as to whether or not we want to continue to buy to collect their stuff. That sucks so bad.
Yeah,
it does. It really does.
That hurts my feelings.
I know. Like I'm like I can sort of justify me playing on Magic the Gathering online because the way the system is set up, I'm not sending Wizards of the Coast any money. I'm renting cards from. Now, technically speaking, those cards, were won or bought from Wizards, right, in their online client, right? But so the way Magic the Gathering rental companies work, like Mana Traders, is they have their own collection that they've built up, and they just lease those cards out. You basically borrow them for a period of time to play on Magic the Gathering online during their tournaments. So from my point of view, I could keep playing in perpetuity and not directly support Wizards because I'm not paying them any money. Although technically, I mean, I don't even have to pay for the entry fees because even though I have the few times I've bought ticks, technically once I start winning more, I should be able to what they call go infinite, where I can win enough player points where I can just play the next match and just keep getting enough player points. I just have to go 3-2 every time that I play in a league. Okay. Yeah. And or if I'm not playing in a tournament, I'm just playing casually in the test areas, then there's no money exchanged at all. So technically speaking, I'm not directly supporting them, but by using their product, Magic the Gathering Online, I am still supporting them. So it does have me in a conundrum that I'm thinking about. And as far as us collecting the cards, I don't know. I'm it's something that Star Kitty and I are going to wrestle with. Like for one thing, yes, it's some of the same execs that have made the decisions for both companies. Technically, the creative people behind both are different people, though, right? Different creative teams that run Magic versus D&D. I can know that. I can tell you this: I'm not going to use D&D Beyond product, and I can't see myself buying any more Dungeons and Dragons product directly from Wizards. Right? I'll buy third-party stuff. I won't buy 5e stuff. Not unless their retraction, like they need to more than just retract this. Like what they said. This is a case of accountants running a company over anyone who cares about the games and communities. Agreed. Quarterly profits are all that matters to them. Next quarter doesn't matter until it starts. Yep. Low Life Raccoon said he had no idea that thing existed. Yeah. So, hey, OG Blaze. So I'm gonna real quick kind of go over their statement.
Yeah.
They made a statement.
I have only heard briefly, a little bit.
Right.
All I heard was that there was a lot of lies in there.
Yeah.
But I was half listening, half cleaning. So I am excited to hear what you have to say, what you're like, because this is going to be pretty fresh for me. So
if you guys are okay with it, I'm going to use my one of my the silly accents that I use when I'm playing my stream games, as if I'm reading, you know, like when I play Daggerfall and I'm reading the notes that show up in our backpack. I'm going to read it from that point of view. All right, here we go.
okay, let's go.
When we initially conceived of revising the OGL, it was with 3 major goals in mind. First, we wanted the ability to prevent the use of D&D content from being included in hateful and discriminatory products. Second, we wanted to address those attempting to use D&D in Web3, blockchain games, and NFTs by making clear that OGL content is limited to tabletop role-playing content like campaigns, modules, and supplements. And third, we wanted to ensure that the OGL is for the content creator, the homebrewer, the aspiring designer, our players, and the community, and major corporations to use for their own commercial and promotional. Not major corporations to use for their own commercial and promotional purpose. Driving these goals were 2 simple principles. Our job is to be good stewards of the game, and the OGL exists for the benefit of the fans. Yes, I'm throwing on that thick kind of sarcasm on purpose. Nothing about those principles has wavered for a second. Believe me, please believe me. I added that part on. That was why our early drafts of the new OGL included the provisions they did. That draft language was provided to content creators and publishers so their feedback could be considered before anything was finalized. In addition to language allowing us to address discriminatory and hateful conduct and clarifying what types of products the OGL covers, our drafts included royalty language designed to apply to large corporations attempting to use OGL content. It was never our intent to impact the vast majority of the community. All right, I'm going to pause here and talk about what that crap right there. So, first of all, that's just a load of horse crap. Like all that, like most of that was just straight up lies. Like they're, this was not early drafts. This was something that was you don't provide something like that just to get feedback. This was like close to the final draft. I guarantee you it was.
Oh yeah.
And they're talking about, they're basically saying, oh, we want to protect you from folks who would use D&D in a discriminatory or hateful way. You know, like I get that they want to protect the IP from any kind of, like racism or bigotry or violence or anything like that. I get that they, but I honestly think that they just threw this in as sort of a, like,
to appeal to the masses.
Well, when I'm not talking about Magic the Gathering, but when you go to watch a magic show, right, a magician, it's all about sleight of hand, right? Mm-hmm. Watch what this hand is doing while you get tickled, right? Yeah. So that's what that statement is. It's legalese sleight of hand. It's trying to say, oh, we didn't really mean to do all these things. We just want to protect people from these things. But, we just, by the way, we were also going to have all this extra power because we were trying to be protective, is what that's saying. And then on top of that, this talking about how our drafts included royalty language designed to apply to large corporations. That's BS too. Like they really, that's so they could go after people like Critical Role and Paizo and Cabal Press, In
Paizo's statement, though, from what I understand, is that though they produced Pathfinder 2nd edition under the OGL 1.0A, technically nothing in Pathfinder 2nd edition actually falls under that. They only put it under that license so other people could still like cross-compatible
Right, that is
create
true.
stuff.
That is true. But
So once
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
but once they make, the orc licensing, they're actually going to pull it from that license and put it to that to the new orc license.
The thing is that that is true. The second edition Pathfinder was meant to be that way. It was meant to be kind of their own system, but inclusive, so that people could use 5e D&D or whatever D&D content too. However, it was still enough of a legal gray area. I'm sure that Paizo's lawyers were like, okay, we need to go hard this way. We need to go even farther this way. Okay. By the way, just to be clear, both they and Cabal Press were already working on these things. All they've done now is accelerate their timetable. So keep that in mind. It's kind of interesting.
Yep.
So, I'm with you. It's just like it's silly that they think that the community is stupid that they would believe that statement. And now I'm going to continue this, and I'm going to interject with my own little comedic little tidbits here.
Yeah, and then I'm going to interject as well after you.
All right. So, however, it's clear from the reaction that we rolled a 1. Wait, what does that mean again? Someone tell me. I don't know. That was me adding in. It has become clear that it is no longer possible to fully achieve all 3 goals while still staying true to our principles. So here's what we are doing. The next OGL will contain the provisions that allow us to protect and cultivate the inclusive environment we are trying to build, and specify that it covers only content for TTRPGs. That means that other expressions such as educational and charitable campaigns, live streams, cosplay, VTT uses, etc. will remain unaffected by an OGL update. Content already released under 1.0a will also remain unaffected. So, I still think if you look at the legalese of that paragraph that I just said, it says that it only covers content to TTRPGs. I still think they're trying to sneak in the evil stuff right there, because they're thinking that we're not going to see that it's it's only for tabletop stuff. Well, when you're using tabletop stuff in a virtual tabletop, like they say, it's not for VTT uses, but the way contract law works, like we were discussing earlier, if you sign on to this OpenGL 1.1, right, it means that you're signing to whatever it says. And if it says that, we can go back and retract and backtrack whatever we want from the past, then it doesn't matter what they said just now. Because all it matters is signing on the dotted line when you buy their product, whether it be a digital. And their intent, by the way, is to create a digital product that everybody wants to use. The CEO said herself that they want to basically find a way to monetize D&D in the same way that a lot of video games do nowadays, with subscriptions and stuff. Right? That's what they want. That's literally, they want to have some sort of recurring income stream.
Yep.
And so anyway, let me continue on. What it will not contain anymore, I added the anymore. What it will not contain is any royalty structure. It also will not include the license back provision that some people were afraid was a means for us to steal work. Okay, that's good. Again, I added that. That thought never crossed our minds. Bullshit. Under any new OGL, you will own the content you create. We won't. Any language we put down will be crystal clear and unequivocal on that point. The license-backed language was intended to protect us and our partners from creators who incorrectly allege that we steal their work simply because of coincidental similarities. Wow. Okay. As we continue to invest in the game that we love and move forward with partnerships in film, television, and digital games, that risk is simply too great to ignore. Yes, the risk of losing profit from other stuff is too great to ignore. I added that part. The new OGL will contain provisions to address that risk, but we will do it without a license back and without suggesting we have rights to the content you create. Your ideas and imagination are what makes this game special, and that belongs to you. Sorry, I had to embellish that a little bit. All right. A couple of last thoughts. First, we won't be able to release the new OGL today because we need to make sure we get it right, but it is coming. Yes, we need to hire more lawyers to make sure that it's even sneakier than before.
Yes.
Okay, that's me adding on again.
Yeah.
Second, you're going to hear people say that they won and we lost because making your choices heard forces us to change our plans. Those people will only be half right. They won, and so did we. Like, what idiot put that paragraph in there? I'm thinking to myself, that makes you sound even more nefarious than before. Like, how did they do that? How did they, oh my God.
I also just want to say, they tried to be tricky with words with a bunch of people that look at the words very closely of the game that they play.
Yep.
Have thorough discussions with their teammates about it. And then they have very intense games based on this really hardcore dissecting of the words of the game. Mm-hmm. You are trying to battle super nerds who like to play strategy games for fun.
Your point is perfectly valid. Their community, their primary product consumers, they think that they're stupid when how can they possibly think that? The smartest people on the planet play these games.
Yes.
You are the ones who are dumb. If you think that you can get away with this BS.
And they're shocked that people read them and dissected them and communicated with their friends to discuss them.
Yep.
Husband, I swear, take that back.
What did he say?
He said I'm dumb.
No, you are not. Hi,
that
Faith.
hurt my feelings.
All right.
Sir. But anyways, so I'm just saying, like, how in the world literally this is a small group of people trying to go against the entire massive nerddom combined.
Right. Like they're out of their freaking mind. They're out of their mind.
They're so like
All right, last paragraph. Here we go. Gotta wrap it up here. Gotta finish it up with a big bang here. Our plan was always to solicit the input of our community before any update to the OGL. Sure, right. The drafts you've seen were attempting to do just that. We want to always delight fans and create experiences together that everyone loves. We realize we did not do that this time, and we are sorry for that. Our goal was to get exactly the type of feedback on which provisions worked and which did not, which we ultimately got from you. Any change this major could only have been done well if we were willing to take that feedback, no matter how it was provided. So we are. Thank you for caring enough to let us know, to let us know what works and what doesn't, what you need and what scares you. Without knowing that, we can't do our part to make the new OGL match our principles. Finally, we'd appreciate the chance to make this right. We love D&D's devoted players and the creators who take them on so many incredible adventures. We won't let you down. I hope I was a little bit over the top villain there. That was the intent. I mean, like, I can tell that there are pieces of this that someone really probably thought was somewhat heartfelt, right? But there's so much crap in it.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I really like Thrall Star's point, which I'm going to read it.
Mm-hmm.
They think we're dumb because they expected D&D players are equivalent to consumers in other communities. This would have worked easily against other communities.
Yep, this is my symbol. That's nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it, Thrallstar.
I completely agree with that statement, Thrallstar. And it's just like I don't even know.
Yeah.
Because, like, a lot of us nerds put up with a lot of shenanigans from people like, you know, waiting for Elder Scrolls 6.
Right.
You know, we'll take any excuse because we're excited. We're fans, diehard. I have a tattoo, right? It is what it is. But it's just, I'm disappointed. I'm genuinely just like, bro. There's rule book debates all the time. You don't think that this is a community of people that are going to debate the wording of the stuff.
Right? Right? Yeah. So, like, if this sort of drama had happened to a younger version of myself, I would have been, I'll be honest with you, I would have been even more upset. Because, like, I think you guys know how important D&D is to me, how how role-playing is to me, I should say, right?
Yeah.
And how passionate I am about it. It's the first thing in my life that I loved just for myself. And I'm willing to kill it to save it. I'm willing to abandon it to make sure that it lives on.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's where we're at today. So their little update / OGL. Much love to you, Fate. We'll see you later, brother.
We have things to discuss, husband.
Yes. I love that face. That is awesome. So, you know, I teased earlier that my dream scenario would be that some other corporate entity or you know, super wealthy individual will come along and buy, you know, those products from Hasbro, buy Wizards of the Coast, basically, buy their subsidiary. That's not going to happen. For one thing, why would Hasbro even sell it, right? And it's just not realistic too. It's just a pipe dream, obviously. It's not even a realistic pipe dream for that matter. It's just a cute little thing to think about. Let your imagination run wild, right? But here's something that I really do hope does happen. And that's that I hope if whoever set this in motion, whatever executives at Hasbro / Wizards of the Coast set this in motion, I really intend that you guys somehow become enlightened about this, that you see the picture, that you get the reality of it, you know, and that you truly try and understand this product. The OGL is the reason why D&D is the number one fantasy RPG product. It's literally the reason why. It's not because it's the best of the products that are out there. And so, you know, the heart and flavor and feel of D&D isn't the name, right? It's just it's this beautiful game that we all enjoy and love, you know, us nerddom, and not just nerds anymore, right? It's become so mainstream. There's so many people.
It has become so mainstream, but that's beautiful,
Yes.
right? Like, you know, something that was so fringe and people, you know, it's becoming a thing where people are now, it's another way to bond. It's another way to be creative with each other. And it's another form of storytelling that is so integral to the human spirit.
Yeah.
And it's just another way of telling, because movies are big, reading is big, but this is that interactive storytelling.
Exactly.
It's, you know, and that is foundational to being a human.
Right.
And I'm not surprised that it became really popular.
Me either.
I'm not surprised that people would fall in love with it, and to be able to play these characters and have these things and, you know, express parts of them. Like Fern is an expression of myself.
Right.
You know, she is an aspect of a part of myself that I share in doses, but I get to express her in her fullest potential when we're playing D&D together.
Yep.
And it helps me be able to like work through and process that part of me and integrate it into the rest of my life. And people are like, all right, this is who she is. You know, and like it's
to that end.
Yeah.
So I love the way you pointed out. If you really stop and think about what Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games in general are really about, like you said, there are two things that are at the core of role-playing. One is that community storytelling, which has been going on, right, since we were tooling around in caves, right? It speaks it's at the core of who we are as human beings, that interactivity that you're talking about. And the second thing is another deeper part of role playing that people don't really stop to think about. But it's that role playing is about pretend that we all do when we're little kids, right?
Yeah.
It's about getting in touch with that inner child, right, and letting it run free. And being able to express, like you said, pieces of yourself that you don't normally in the regular day-to-day IRL.
Yeah.
And it's a way to let your imagination wake up and run wild and be creative. And I think role-playing games are a deeper form of entertainment than movies, television, comic books, any of those, because they are so interactive and because they are so cathartic and because they are so expressive and creative and imaginative. Like and collaborative, right? It's instead of you passively, I mean, granted, reading a book is a little more active than watching a movie or TV show, right? Because your mind is the one that's creating the pictures in your mind through the words. But it's still mostly passive. You're basically, your mind is filling in creating this imaginary world based upon the words that have been given to you, right? But with the role-playing game, you're constantly sharing these images with each other and these words with each other.
Yeah.
And it's dynamically creating a new reality on the fly.
Yeah. And like, I love just being able to sit there and I can sit here and I can tell my story with like, not just like with my words and stuff, but I can also sit here and just kind of do this little thing. Everybody knows what I'm doing. I'm planning shenanigans. And it's beautiful, and I love it, and like we get to build this thing together, and it's just like nothing can take that away.
That's right. That's right. Including, misguided corporate overlords. And that's what I'm going to call them. I know earlier I was calling them evil and draconian and stuff like that, but they're going to
just have to take a leadership course and learn about some ethics.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was an exaggeration. I don't really think that they're necessarily evil, awful people. I really don't. And my sincerest hope is that they do get this and they realize it and they see it and they understand it and they, and I do understand that in a world of capitalism, you do got to protect your right, your kind of certain things, but
yeah,
that's not what this was. Come on, guys, that's not what this was.
No, and it's just,
it was a power and cash grab. That's all this was. If you can't see it otherwise, then you need to find, you need to let somebody else run Wizards of the Coast, run Hasbro, because, the world isn't just about how much profit your company can make. Can you imagine, like, how much their stock tanked after what happened with the Magic stuff last year? I can't imagine what it's going to do to it now. Like, if I were a shareholder in Hasbro, I'd be walking in on that board, the next board meeting, and saying, you guys need to get some of these folks fired, or they need to, like you said, go to a leadership course, something. They need to wake the hell up, because this is not how you run a company. You do not understand your own product.
Yeah. Because, like, if I didn't have D&D to do that creative expression, I would literally go insane. Because, like, we all also need that break from reality.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's so much more fun to count virtual or, like, fake gold and pay bills there. But, yeah.
Let's address some more folks chatting in chat.
They were active.
Oh, they sure were. Holy crap here. Let's see. Aries said, you will make the new Stormy D20 game bigger, better, faster. We have the technology. Then get to creating your own card game. Wizards of the Coast, you're on notice. Stormy Games is on the way. I don't know about a card game, although I have a friend of mine I know who's actually actively working on a card game. I recommended to him that if he's going to make a new card game in today's world, he needs to make it a blockchain game. And if it's going to be its own IP right off the bat, you need to make it a blockchain game. Because that way you can use the blockchain to effectively, permanently copyright every single piece of art. But not in a way where it's copyrighted from the standpoint of that your company owns it, but instead, whenever, like, that's a whole different can of worms I don't want to jump into. But the bottom line is that if you're going to start a game nowadays, a card game, it needs to be a blockchain game. That's my perspective on it. And, like, we can have actually a whole bandwidth and banter where we talk about that in the future, but not today. Moving on. To be fair, being a nerd has become mainstream. Exactly, OG Blaze. You're 100% right by that. In fact, nerds run this freaking world. They do. I mean, what I believe there's I'm not biblical or religious, but there's a quote in the Christian Bible that says the meek shall inherit the earth. Well, the nerds are the meek, aren't they? And
we're the shy, quiet ones behind the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can't stop Fern voice.
I know. Dang. It's hard to pull back, isn't it? Thrallstar says,
so hard.
So the understandable thing Wizards of the Coast wants is to be able to remove inappropriate content under their flag. Under current OGL, they had no recourse for people publishing racist, misogynistic, or other content they wouldn't want to be associated. I get that, but I feel like they could have just taken the time to add certain stipulations to the OGL that would stop that kind of content. It's pretty simple. What they did was not just that. it was basically saying, no, we want to completely revoke the old OpenGL so we can have complete control over it now. And it was just a massive overreach. OG Blaze says, when I was growing up, I would have never told my people who I hung in the streets that I play games when I go home. But nowadays you can, and that's what's wonderful. Aries says, the road to darkness is always paved with good intentions. Yeah. Earlier, Thrallster said, absolutely, but is their product so need some kind of control to say is, oh yeah. Aries said, right, I used to be looked at in high school like a strange kid because I played PC games. Now half those people are game addicts or game devs themselves. We're just ahead of our time. That's right, ahead of our time. Thrallstar said, for instance, I know published under the OGL was a counter manual to their monster rework. Interesting. Aries also added, which would make sense if they kept it private, but open source and are opening up the product removes most of the ability to control. This is them trying to take it back. What they're doing is classing business psychology.
I think you meant classic.
Yeah,
classic business psychology.
Classic. Yeah, that's right. Aries said they went 5 steps forward to anger people and then step back 3 to sound agreeable. In its place, they gained 2 steps. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like that they went too far though. They really went too far.
They should have took it 4 steps, not 5. If they were trying to go for that.
Aries was teasing here. Growing up, I had to live a double life. I had my street side where I got in trouble, and my game life where I also got in trouble. You're just a troublemaker, OG Blaze. That's all right. We love you. You be a rebel troublemaker.
Aries, you don't want to see me insane.
Yeah,
you also would never see Faith again, because he would be stuck dealing with the insane druid the entire time.
And if you saw insane druid Aries, she'd probably be wearing those contacts all the time that you can't see.
That is so true. I would be wearing my all white contacts all the time. I really am genuinely trying not to talk in Vern voice.
Hey, if it makes it easier.
Popping out.
She just keeps popping out.
And she just keeps popping out now. She's mad.
She's mad from her other universe. Mad on your behalf.
Yeah. Because I really like the Circle of Spores subclass.
I'd change my mind. No more insane dude. No contacts. I want to sleep. That's funny. That's funny.
I may or may not wear them today on my stream. Just kidding. I won't do that. I don't think I can play Horizon Zero Dawn with those contacts.
Yeah, good point. Well, guys, we're getting close to wrap-up time for Bandwidth and Banter today. Any final tidbits that you want to add to the discussion there, Druid? Okay, Banana Tom. I just want. I'm gonna say something on the bright side though. Mm-hmm. Because of this whole thing with OGL 1.1, I think what it did was not only did it expose that corporate greed, it inspired so much creativity and so much community. Yeah. So we're not really losing anything. What's happening is there is that reignition of community. There is a big spark in creativity, and there is gonna be a lot of really cool things that come from this. I concur.
As crazy and as awful as it is, how so many people have to like reconsider what they're doing with with the futures for their their companies and everything. I can see how there's everybody's gonna band together. Everybody's gonna push to support each other, push to make sure that everybody is taken care of, and that you know, there's gonna be a lot of good that comes from it. As shitty as it is, and as painful as it is for a lot of people, especially for somebody like you, Stormy, who's been playing this particular game forever, you know? So, hashtag Storm Saga Systems.
I mean, it's already Storm Saga Games, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, or actually, what was it? Storm Keep Systems? And then he didn't like the acronym, and he changed the acronym.
I did?
Where did it go?
What? Oh, somebody else came up with something? Storm Keep Systems and Storm Saga Games? Oh, okay.
Storm Keep Systems.
I like it. That's not bad. Although I mean... You know,
Storm Saga Systems.
I take it that means we're going to be branching out into things other than games. So I don't know what yet, but it's a beginning. It's a wonderful beginning. We can't wait. Not at all. We're looking forward to it. You're right. The bright side is we get to create the future that we want. I don't know why I'm speaking in a fancy accent anymore, but no, seriously. You're right. This is going to be a good thing in the long run. And we basically get to keep the heart of Dungeons and Dragons alive for real.
Yeah.
Through our own actions and through, you know, pushing forward with this creative imagination, you know, this community of I guess, what are we? We're like imagination crafters, right?
Yeah.
That's what we are.
Misfits.
That too. Misfits, yes, that too. But, oh my gosh, I love it. Well, guys, I appreciate you all hanging out with us for this special edition of Bandwidth and Banter today. Next week will be a bit more mundane as we work on technical things and to get things fancier and more specific.
Yep, we're going to be working on getting some overlays up, doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we've made a lot of progress this week, for sure. All right, so with that said, we're gonna wrap up. Druids, stay on, and we'll chat a little bit more if that's okay with you. I know you want to get to your stream, but
my stream will be postponed a little bit because we are getting a walkthrough by our rent because we rent our house, so we're getting a walkthrough today.
Oh,
so my stream's gonna be a little late, but I will be streaming.
Make sure you guys check her out this afternoon. Me too. We'll see you on a little bit later. So what time do we expect you then?
So around 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. That would be 5:30
my time.
Central.
Okay. I'll be able to see you a little bit before I go live myself, but that's okay. It's okay.
You know what? I might put the contacts in. I might put it in. We'll see. It'll be a mystery.
Poor Aries, you're picking on him. No, we love you guys. You know it. And we appreciate you. And so with that, you'll have a wonderful afternoon. Check out her stream. Check out my stream. And we'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.